My name is Gerber. I'm a chaplain and ordained minister with his Chaplain for You and founder of Pause for Cause. As you mentioned, I have two friends here. One is Siba and Micah, her little brother, and they're both licensed therapy dogs. Siba and Micah are allowed to go with me anywhere I go. They go with me to places like the emergency room, ICUs, and other places you would least expect a dog. Why I became a chaplain, I will tell you in a moment, but two characteristics have to be in place to be able to do what I do. The first thing is I have to be absolutely positive and sure that what I do is what I'm called to do, and the second part is that I'm humble. Well, I'm not proud to tell you that I definitely was not humble in the past, and learning to be humble has been and still is very difficult and important for me. More about that a little later. A lot of people ask me what's the difference between a chaplain and a pastor. And in short, it's that if you go to a church, you're most likely like to either go and listen or talk to a pastor. A chaplain either goes to places and go to see people that either cannot or do not want to go to a church. Chaplains have been very established in the military, hospitals, police, firefighters, to name just a few. Chaplains are more and more asked for in corporations, churches, schools, professional sports teams, airports, hotels, political settings, special events, and so on. My approach and the approach of his Chaplain for You is unique in that we utilize licensed therapy dogs in combination with an ordained chaplain and a ministry team. But before I tell you more about what I do, let's go back a few years. When I was in high school, I had an American flag hanging over my bed. Since I was in college, I knew that I wanted to have my own company. Be very successful, making a lot of money, be married with a beautiful wife, 2 kids, driving fancy cars, a house in the harbor with a big boat in front, maybe even have my own helicopter, having fun. Being a Swiss man, living the American dream. Crazy? Maybe, but I was on schedule till about 6 years ago, then things slowly started to change. I began volunteering in ministry with my therapy dog, Siba. I met kids who have been abused and neglected by their own parents and were now living in foster care. One of those girls was Faith. That I met her during a camp, and she would just not want to be with any other kids. She didn't want to play. The only thing that kind of gave her joy is to be with Siba. When she was able to hold Siba's leash, she would play with the other kids, she would do crafts, she would play in the pool. And she always had a red feather in her hair. And wherever we would go, every day, the 3 days, she had that feather in her hair. And she would always be around Siba, every moment she was able. When it was time to go to bed, it was just this huge scene because she didn't believe we'll be back tomorrow, so she didn't want to go to bed, and I promised her Siba is back and everything will be okay. At the end of the camp, she came to me, and she didn't actually communicate with me, but she always was with Siba, and she came closer and she took this red feather out of her hair and put it into Siba's cape. And she said, "Siba, can you do me a favor? Every time I meet somebody and I start to like them, they forget about me or they let me down. You just do me a favor that you will keep this feather and remember me." And I have this feather in the truck, in my visor. And one day I hope that I see this girl again and that she's going to go, "Hey Siba, remember me?" And I hope I'm going to be able to tell her, "We do. Here's your feather." And there's people out there that care about you, and there's people that love you. And I met families on the verge of homelessness, living in a motel room, struggling to carry on. Kids living in the inner city, desperately wanting to learn to read and to write English, so they could be first in their family to graduate from high school and go on to college. Visiting people in hospitals. When we go to hospitals, it's not that I can just go and ask a lot that people would, that I would go and visit them in a hospital. And when I go, it's not, I can't just go in one room and leave. It's like the moment we get on the floor, it's like wildfire spreads. Seba is on the floor. Seba has landed, and everybody just wants to see Seba. Or Micah now that he's certified. But I only work with one at a time. And a lot of times, I have nurses or other patients that just, it can take up to an hour and a half per floor just to say hi to people and be with them. And this one day, a nurse came up to me and said, could you please go and see this lady in this room? She doesn't have any family. Nobody ever comes and see her. And she always keeps talking about her dog. And so I went in and we had a very special time. She shared some of her stories. And then she looked at me and she said, now that I was able to spend time with you and pet your dog and see your smile, I can die. And experiences like this broke me. Bringing hope to these people became the most important thing in my life. And over the last 6 years, I committed myself to becoming ever better equipped to help these people. You may ask yourself, why did I start his chaplain for you? Well, I'm glad you asked. Although there are great, great churches in Southern California, and most of them have care ministries, there's really no chaplain ministries at the churches. With that, I mean a pastor or a chaplain on staff that is trained and called to be with people in life-threatening, serious illnesses, and crisis situations. Just like you don't want me to be the worship pastor, your teaching pastor's calling is most likely not to be with people or parents when their child is dying in a hospital. We all have different callings, and sometimes the difficult part is to find out what this is and to stay with it. Thank God I finally found my calling. It's to be a chaplain and to bring hope, love, and encouragement to challenging circumstances.